Days off, but moments packed with knowledge, excitement, and enjoyment. TVC Breakfast Weekend Edition, only on TVC News.
Well, good morning and thank you very much for joining us. I am Yori Folani. My guest this morning is Mr. Nuhu Toro, Comrade, one should say, Comrade Nuhu Toro, Secretary General, Trade Union Congress. And he is joining us remotely. So the first thing to say is good morning to you, Comrade.
Good morning, and thank you for having me.
Our pleasure. Now, your Congress is threatening that if all things are not equal, and you'll explain that in a moment, the TUC might indeed go on an indefinite strike in some states because they have not performed as encouragingly as you would have expected. That much of it is true, sir.
Yeah, well, thank you, viewers, for having us. That assertion is very correct because if you understand the logic of minimum wage is to protect vulnerable workers.
That's
and
right.
The Minimum Wage Act is a law in Nigeria. So we see no reason why state governors should be breaking the law. And that is why we have indicated clearly that any state that fails in the payment of the new national minimum wage should be ready to receive us in the state. And we even single out 2 states, for instance, Cross River and Zamfara State. We see no reason why elected officers will not have human heart. Human heart in the sense that the 70,000 naira that we are talking about, I mean, it's not sufficient yet to take Nigerian workers home. And even at that, some of those states, the states I mentioned are just few out of the states that are not faithful to the payment of minimum wage. So they should get ready. We have given them a little time frame to see that by end of this month, if they are not paying the new national minimum wage, then the Trade Union Congress of Nigeria, under the leadership of Comrade Engineer Festus Osifo, will mobilize all our members across the length and breadth of this country to visit that state until the right thing is done.
Well, okay. You did explain. First of all, one would have thought that we might have seen the end of strikes. You know more than most that these strikes don't do anything for our economy at all in a positive way. So I imagine that you wouldn't have reached this decision lightly. However, it is going to, it is going to disrupt things a bit, if indeed. In fact, it should be from today, if I'm not mistaken, in Calabar and Zamfara. Am I correct there?
Well, you are correct, but your position is a biased position because in industrial relations, is usually give and take. So you are looking at what is going to disrupt. You are not looking at the millions of Nigerians that will go home hungry. That's not fair. So, and what we are saying is, if there's a law in place, I mean, governors should be honorable to respect the law. That's all we are asking for. We are not asking for something extraordinary. So if other state governments are paying, why not? If you go to even the zone, for instance, take Zamfara, states like Kebbi, who have even less income or less IGR, are faithful. So most times it's not about what comes in, it's about who is there. Go to Kebbi and see what Nasiru is doing. He's doing perfectly well. So, and why wouldn't other governors queue in? Why wouldn't they obey the law? That's just what we are saying. And again, history has shown that when we embark on nationwide strike to drum support for state governments that are not faithful in honoring their obligation, most times you punish state governors or state government that are faithful. And that's why we've decided to change our tactics and confront them state by state. Like I said, Zamfara, we'll take on Zamfara if Zamfara refuse to open up negotiation for a new national minimum wage or they refuse to pay the new national minimum wage, which is a law. The same thing with Cross River. If Cross River fails, if the state government continues to fail in setting up a committee to work out what the minimum wage would be, they should be ready to receive us. We'll mobilize our members and visit Cross River and Zamfara State until the right thing is done.
Because because you have also been reported to have said when you were speaking with journalists that minimum wage, it goes beyond just announcing, whatever it is, 40,000, 70,000, 90,000, that it goes beyond that, that there are some other aspects of it if this whole exercise is to be taken seriously. And this is where you are frowning at some states that it must be that you are thinking, it must be the viewpoint of the Congress that much more could have been done. But for some reason, I think, you think some of those states are slacking.
Yeah, they are, of course. For instance, it's just minimum wage we are talking about. Nobody is talking about consequential adjustment yet. So minimum wage is the starting point. Until you determine what the wage is, it will be difficult for you to determine what the consequential adjustment will be. So invariably, that means a lot needs to be done. And that is why you see that we want it expedient. We want it treated expeditiously so that workers can at least have some meals on their table.
Okay. Maybe could you explain the implementation, implementation of the necessary adjustments to align wages with the new national standard, which you said goes beyond just announcing that.
No, like I said, it's about numbers, it's about figure. For instance, I cannot tell you now that X plus Y equals to Z until I know what X is. So it becomes invariably difficult for me to tell you in numbers what the outcome will be. And that is why we have a benchmark. Let's agree on what the benchmark is. Then every other supplementary issues surrounding the benchmark will be worked out. And don't forget, it's a product of collective bargaining. It's not that we are pushing it through the throat of government. No. Government, organized labor, employers will sit on a round table to determine what is workable, an agreeable term that everybody is happy with. And then we'll move on. That's the point we want those states to look at and drive us to.
Okay. So beyond that, if you were to use the opportunity of this program to speak to the authorities in those stations that, those states that you think can exert themselves a bit more than they are right at the moment, because I can just imagine, even though you accused me of unfairness, it wasn't my intention. I would imagine everybody would have their own reason for their activity. I know that might be their viewpoint. There might be a counterpoint. So if you were to speak directly to the authorities in those states, what would you be counseling them to take, to consider very, very seriously?
Well, you see, strike is a means to an end. It's not a means in itself. And strike is legitimate. That is why the Labor Act recognizes that a worker has a right to down tool when his rights are being infringed upon. So embarking on strike is not an illegal thing. It's something that is legitimate. Now, the other angle you raise about destructive properties, most times from an ignorant standpoint, people have misunderstood strike to translate to disruption. That is not correct. Strike is just a means or a tool that is available to organized labor to push or to compel authorities to listen. It is also important to stress that to organize a strike is not a tea party, which means that a lot of resources go into it, a lot of resources and commitment.
Yes.
So my advice to authorities is that, a stitch in time saves 9. Usually before we embark on a strike, like I have told you now, that in no distant time, if those state governments do not comply with the Labor Act, we are going to ensure that we mobilize our workers. This time frame that we have given is a window that we expect management and government to leverage on, which most times they don't do. When organized labor gives an ultimatum, they are telling you that, hey, you need to come, we need to talk, let's dispense with this matter. And if it is not achieved, of course, the only option that we have will be to embark on a strike action. So I want to appeal to authorities to kindly ensure that that doors are open. The communications commence so that we can determine what to do towards ensuring that negotiations commences without further delay. That is the only thing that can avert this action at this point in time.
Would it be, what would be the impact? I'm looking in terms of spread now, because, for instance, you did mention that there are 2 states in particular that you actually named, Zamfara, possibly, and also Cross River. But I was going to ask, there are other, you say that there are states where the conversation has not even commenced, which is quite worrying. That people, it would appear, ordinary observers might think this was a kind of levity. If in your address you are saying that there are states where the conversation hasn't even progressed yet about how to proceed, move forward on this whole matter. So would it be, I mean, I'm just looking at how many states would come under your ire, or is it by and large? Because there will be states where there will not be action because they have not been doing too badly, if they haven't been doing well.
Well, that is our joker, and I don't intend to open it up in the national media. But the truth of the matter is, we have our own modus of operandi. But what we seek is not publicity, but result. What we seek is result for enhanced welfare of the working people. How we get it, I mean, is our joker that only the organized labor have access to for now. But you can be rest assured. For instance, I made mention of 2 states. Cross River, it was after the industrial action commenced that they now quickly started running helter-skelter to say, okay, can we talk? But the case of Zamfara is terrible. As I'm speaking to you, nothing, I mean, extremely nothing has been done. Nobody is doing anything. Nobody is calling anybody for any discussion. That is not acceptable. And we will ensure that the right thing is done.
Okay, I'm sorry about that. I just didn't catch the last few moments of what you were saying.
Okay. So what I'm saying is currently no discussions have commenced in Zamfara. But Zamfara workers should be rest assured that the Trade Union Congress of Nigeria, under the leadership of Comrade Engineer Festus Osifo, will ensure that they earn their wages, because they have worked for it and they must earn it. So in no distant time, we are going to roll out our action plan and implementation strategies towards ensuring that the right of Zamfara workers and Cross River, and so those other states that are lackadaisical, some states have commenced discussion, but I mean, nothing is coming out of it. So if we need to push, we'll push those state governments to ensure that the right thing is done.
Okay. You know, there is still there is also the other issue of nobody wants to go on strike. You know, the workers, neither the employer, neither the employed. Usually, nobody wants to go on strike, because when it does come to pass, there will be pains, especially the workers now. I don't know. If it should come to that, which you are hoping it will not come to, everybody's hoping it will not come to, that people will see reason. But if it should come to that, the TUC is a senior, it's about senior staff, right? That's the commonest definition. It's about correct, senior staff.
Very correct.
They are not as hard hit, arguably, as the rest of us. And so...
Well, okay.
Please go ahead,
without being pessimistic, you know, you see, I respect your opinion, absolutely. So you have a right to your opinion. But I mean, that school of thought which you hold is not correct. It's not correct in the sense that the assertion, in my opinion, is not correct.
Which one is that? Which school of thought is that? That's what?
The last one you alluded to, that the workers don't want to go on strike.
Okay. I get you. Well, I just took it from a logical point of view. People want to work if all conditions are right. That was my meaning.
There will be pain.
All other things being equal.
If they go on strike. So I was wondering, and it becomes debatable, what pain that a worker is trying to exercise his fundamental right to get what belongs to him. There is no pain.
There is no pain in striving for your rights, is what you are saying. And I can understand that sense. But please don't get me wrong. Workers that have to go on strike need to be provided for either by somebody or by themselves. Hopefully they have the savings, they have the wherewithal to do so. That surely must be a concern when you go about the strategies you have. The strategies organizations have.
You are speaking like a capitalist employer who thrives in profiteering. I mean, this is not the first time we are embarking on any strike action.
No.
Which suggests that we have had strike actions that have lasted for weeks, for months, and we didn't budge. So I'm not sure this is going to be an exception. Yes, there's hunger in the land, but notwithstanding, a man that is down already is not afraid, is no longer afraid of falling. The workers are down already, so what are they afraid of? So, but we are optimistic that if that is the only language the authorities will listen to ensure that we get what we want, after all, it's legitimate, it's lawful. We'll do that. We'll do just that to get what belongs to the workers for them.
Indeed. Indeed, you are so very right. But, you know, when you come on like this, we take the opportunity of your coming on to get enlightenment on these issues. And as you have said, the welfare of the Nigerian worker is your paramount concern. Yes, one understands that. But going forward, is there, I mean, surely you must know about leaning over backwards, if that expression won't anger you again, where sometimes people will lean over backwards, say, hey, I'm warning you, I'm giving you all the chances to make amends, or, you know, that kind of a thing. Are you sure? Are you sure that all of this has been done? I'm just looking.
You are just trying to get to know our modus of operandi, because what this means is I will need to tell you that we have this is our implementation strategy. This is what we have done. This is what we have done, which unfortunately you might not get. But one thing is instructive. You know, as organized labor, go and check the history around the globe. I mean, conventionally, all union federations have some resources set aside for this kind of moment, because we know it's inevitable. It's something that will come, which suggests that there are some percentage of strike fund that is kept somewhere. Without speaking too much, I think I've told you enough, more than enough that you need to know. But let's be positive. We are optimistic. We will ensure that the right thing is done. We don't want the strike to last if eventually we have to go through that route. But however it is head or tail, we'll ensure that workers' welfare for us is key and permanent and paramount. Sorry, I beg your pardon.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So right now, if I'm not mistaken, is the strike, is the action in progress right now in the two states that you happen to mention by name?
Certainly. Certainly.
Okay.
Certainly, yes.
So the senior workers there.
For instance, in Cross River, they are already on a warning strike. If you follow the trend, Cross River, on their own volition, the workers in the state decided to embark on a warning strike because the government was not, talking to anybody. Again, discussions have commenced, and we are following track. We are monitoring to get development as they unfold. If there's a need for us to go there, why not? If we think the discussions have advanced, why not? We can as well soft pedal to allow them to pull it through. So that is where we are at the moment.
Okay. And just trying to make sure that it doesn't spread. From what we've discussed this morning, it will not be an unnecessary strike. At least
no.
I'm going to come onto your side.
If we want to be, if we don't want to be reasonable, like I told you, we were back on a nationwide strike, thereby punishing governors that are faithful. But I can tell you without missing word that some governors are indeed faithful. In fact, I received report that recently Bauchi State government has also commenced implementation. So some governors, I can tell you, are faithful, but we cannot punish governors that are faithful and allow the ones that are not faithful. And that's why we segregate them, that, hey, if like Zamfara is doing, will take Zamfara on and cross river. And if Lagos State is also not paying, which I know that Lagos State government have concluded negotiations with our people and they are paying, any state that is not faithful, we take them on and ensure that the right thing is done. That's just the logic and principle.
Okay, if you're just joining us, we're speaking with Dr. Nuhu Toro, who is the Secretary General, Trade Union Congress of Nigeria. He's joining us via Zoom in Jigawa. Stay with us, please. We'll take a quick break now and be right back. We'll include your calls when we come back.
Doubt and fear doesn't occur at the canvas, it shows in the canvas. It shows the conation of raw earthen material slabbed, stroked and molded at a pace provided by the doubt and fear. Every move way in the struggle of one to the other, merging the past to the present, brushstrokes of colors seen but not known, for when the wailing stops, the pieces settle down in abject beauty erected for a century of a century. Speaking, advocating, protesting as the arts are meant to be.
Every major news story is with many perspectives and layered with different levels of impact.
Honey, what time do this happen? We will be right there.
At TVC News, we follow the big and major news, gathering the facts, witnessing the outcome.
I am here live at the aftermath of the approval of the new national minimum wage.
We are TV Station of the Year, not just for breaking news, but for being first, fair and accurate. TVC News, first with breaking news.
You're watching Beyond 100 Days with Nifemi Oguntoye. President Tinubu, since he assumed office,
we are on our way to progress.
6 out of the 8 APC federal lawmakers have a movement structure that's going to take back our party in Enugu State. Because this one I'm seeing is just by moonlight. It's not working.
So I'm wondering what you think, or who you think can stop him now.
He doesn't own the party.
One of the causes of inflation is because people cannot go to the farm.
The government.
Okay, welcome back. We're speaking, as I said, with the Secretary General of the Trade Union Congress of Nigeria, Dr. Nuhu Toro. He's joining us live, remotely. Okay, so we've spoken about there are strikes in some states, a couple of states, and it could widen if, in the estimation of the TUC, which, by the way, I think people know, concerns itself with senior employees, if they feel that enough, weight isn't being pulled by those people. In this regard, let me come to the matter of why will people not pull their weight? Why will people not? Sorry, sir.
Yeah, I can hear you. Sorry.
Okay. Why will people not pull their weight? Because I'm thinking that you sign agreements here, and so after agreements have been signed, what is your experience in terms of complying with those agreements?
Well, that is another hurdle to cross. I can tell you, beyond signing of agreements, employers and government most times have reneged. In fact, in some instances, they will tell us, "Oh, sorry, we sign it out of ignorance." You can imagine that. So we are determined. We are determined to leave no stone unturned until we ensure that those agreements are followed to the logical conclusion. We will ensure that we follow them through so that their implementation will be apt and in no distant time. That I can assure you will also pull through.
So, I mean, this is news. This is a surprise to most listeners, I'm sure, that you have experiences where people that you've signed agreements with come back and say that, I'm sorry, it was a mistake. We signed it in error.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Severally, we have had instances that you sign agreement and they will be foot dragging. Implementation becomes a terrible thing. So those kind of divisionary tactics we are not also mindful of, and you can be rest assured that we'll do the needful to ensure that we pull such negotiations through.
Okay. Now, I want to return to an issue that I brought up earlier, and I think you have addressed it, but I do want a bit more clarification on it, where you said that it's not about just announcing a figure. There are other ancillary matters that come along with every agreement that has been reached. Does this mean that, I really want to know what that means. When something has happened and there's been an increase in the agreed salary, for example, I suppose it has an effect on certain other things, perhaps more than a few other things. Is this where the challenge is?
Well, I'm surprised you are making this comment. Have you not heard of a situation in Nigeria where you sign an agreement and they tell you there is no ability to pay? On several occasions, we had signed agreement with government and employers, and they will tell you, oh, there's no ability to pay. When they put the numbers together, they now realize that it's humongously high and they cannot pay. Sorry, we have to renegotiate. That has been done before, and which is a violation of the principles of collective bargaining. So that's why we are being preemptive to say we have also not unmindful of those kind of tactics, and we are indeed moving ahead to think of how, in the event if they occur, to dispense with them spontaneously.
Okay, so in case anybody is just joining us, you can see from the caption there that the TUC is saying that it is going to take very, very seriously, the actions of states who are not pulling their weight as far as it is concerned in implementing the minimum wage. When you talk about minimum wage, you don't usually think of senior civil servants, senior staff in the same sentence. So how does that work? TUC primarily concerns itself with senior workers. So are we talking about minimum wage for senior workers as well?
Again, that assertion is not correct, because you don't forget, both senior, junior, and whoever goes to the same market use the same denomination to buy an item. So when you say minimum, the benchmark is something that you need to deal with. If you deal with the minimum, then of course its attendant consequential adjustment will follow suit. So if you are under the illusion that senior staff don't need minimum wage, then you are absolutely wrong.
Yeah, but the minimum wage is, it's usually, I think we're talking about the least paid worker. And
that is why the concept of consequential adjustment comes in.
Okay.
It has to go down all through. That is where the concept of consequential adjustment comes through. And without the minimum wage, you cannot determine what, for instance, a level 14 officer will be paid.
Okay.
That is it.
That is it now. That is where I wanted you, and you have just obliged. This is where I wanted some clarification, because as you know, not all viewers will be experts. But I thank you very much for, explaining that. Well,
thank you very much.
It goes
for having
up.
Me. I also appreciate it.
It goes up and it goes down. I mean, if we're talking about minimum wage for the least paid worker, oh, I'm sorry, your phone just went into landscape. Well, I think portrait mode, but we just wanted the other side with the way it was before. I think when you, okay. So that's important. And now let's talk a bit about the workers. And here I am not on anybody's side. the cost of the naira, the exchange rate of the naira, is being blamed for everything. What is the view of the Congress on this? When I say everything, I'm talking about escalating prices, escalating costs of everything. And meanwhile, you have already had... I just wanted...
You are absolutely correct.
Yeah.
The monster bedeviling Nigeria as a nation is the exchange rate, because the exchange rate is unimaginable. And because Nigeria is an import-led country, virtually almost everything that comes in, has to be through this exchange rate. And until government comes out with a clear policy to tame the exchange rates volatility, we will continue in this vicious circle. So we think government needs to act, and decisively too, in ensuring that this is nipped in the bud, and as soon as possible.
Because even look at fuel and transportation, and look at the imbroglio almost that we seem to be in with petroleum marketers and refiners not being able to agree, threatening that, well, not so much threatening as advising us that they have already imported fuel. This is something that we thought we wouldn't be hearing of very, very much nowadays, but we are now hearing that, because of cost considerations, if domestic refineries are not able to, play ball, so to speak, so that it's worth their while as businessmen, then they are going to import. So they will, in fact, the latest I've just heard now, that I'm sure you also know about it, is that the petroleum marketers want a rate from the recently resuscitated refinery. They want a rate that is lower, going to be lower than the Dangote refinery. Okay, I'm just hearing that, network fluctuations, and we lost our guest there. So we're waiting to get him back again. And, I think there must also be, something of a challenge with the phones as well, because this is the kind of a subject that a lot of our viewers would have called in on ordinarily. So I'm just guessing that they must be trying, but perhaps not being met with very much success. So here we have it. As you could see, the Secretary General was a bit brusque with me. He even accused me of being on one side or the other, simply for suggesting that nobody wants to go on strike ordinarily, and he says that's a capitalist. You heard it if you did hear it. So, but here we are. We're just trying to find out the situation, and we've come to an interesting aspect of the conversation, which I'm sure as soon as we get him back, he'll be able to comment on. The whole situation of costs, prices, it's almost impossible, and it's all going back to the exchange rate. And we keep on hearing from the central bank that everything that can be done is being done, and we're even hearing that if you look at it globally, improvements are being made. The problem, of course, is that the ordinary person doesn't see these. They're lost in the matrix there somewhere, whereas there might be, when you take a very long view at it, just like when you're in space and you can see the whole world as a ball. You remember that, that blue ball you see from outer space. That's the world. You have a very long view. So I guess, the experts in the finance sector are telling us that when you look at it like that, things are indeed coming on, but not such that the ordinary person knows what it's all about. And in the midst of all of this, labor unions will do what they do, which is look out for the welfare. And if if costs are escalating like this, then they too know that it's an impossible situation to live in. And so, palliatives, yes, more money, certainly. But then we just heard, for those who didn't know what exactly the issue was, we just heard that not all the parties that signed agreements to move in a particular way actually are able to deliver. In fact, the one that shocked me a bit is that since you have only senior people, I imagine, coming to the negotiating table, knowledgeable and senior people, to hear from the Secretary General, Dr. Nuhu Toro of TUC, that there have been instances where officials will come back and say, you know, I'm not sure we have agreement because when we were signing that thing, we didn't know. This is what will make people, you know, just grab their forehead and said, oh dear, what is going on? As Nigeria, must Nigeria continue to happen? They will say that derogatorily, but this is where we're at. As soon as we can get him back, we will come back. And by now, I think I can assert that we are having a telephone problem. Otherwise, viewers would have called in to weigh in on this matter as well. But as we stand, Cross River and Zamfara states are already, you know, in the action that has been threatened if there was not a sort of a better comeback from those states. Okay, we'll take another break. Stay with us, please.
Voted as the best TV station of the year. TVC News breaks into the core of every event as they happen. Following all nationwide big and impactful stories. Without the news from every perspective, covering every human angle. I am Veronica, bringing you the news you would want to watch.
Every weekday on Business Nigeria, we uncover the secrets of the financial world.
We analyze the stock market, shares, bonds, and the thrilling world of cryptocurrency.
Facts matter. Our team dives deep to separate fact from popular opinion.
We simplify complex government policies as it impacts your everyday life, helping you navigate the ever-changing financial landscape.
Watch Business Nigeria every weekday at 2 p.m. only on TVC News. First with breaking news.
Meet Benga Oreshegun, a fearless voice and an advocate for the truth. He's bringing fresh energy and bold insights to Journalists Hangout.
Get ready for deeper analysis and dynamic perspectives. Join me and Babajide Kolade Otitoju with other veteran journalists on Journalists Hangout. Weekdays from 5 p.m. and on Sundays 1:30 p.m.
Doubt and fear doesn't occur at the canvas, it shows in the canvas. It shows the conation of raw earthen material slabbed, stroked and molded at a pace provided by the doubt and fear. Every move way in the struggle of one to the other, merging the past to the present, brushstrokes of colors seen but not known. For when the wailing stops, the pieces settle down in abject beauty erected for a century of a century. Speaking, advocating, protesting as the arts are meant to be.
It's not your regular show.
Okay, welcome back, but I'm so sorry. I'm welcoming you back to tell you that we've lost contact with our guest, Dr. Nuhu Toro, Secretary General of the TUC, who was updating us on the caution. Let me just say, well, our guest said that things can be as bad sometimes as people coming back to you after signing agreements to say that they didn't know what they were signing and that they cannot really deliver along the lines that they had signed to. Okay, so we're going to have to leave it there for now. I'm sure it's a subject we'll pick up later, and by then I do hope that you'll be able to join us now, but I understand that for quite a number of reasons you were not able to do so today. So we're going to leave it there. That's our program today. Do please join us tomorrow for a fresh edition. I am Iyori Folare. Bye-bye for now.